Hello everybody, and welcome to the next installment of the classic Mario series. After Mario 1 received glowing praise, a sequel was always going to be made. But, in response to some criticisms of Mario 1 being too easy, the development team decided to make the sequel targeted towards players who had already mastered the original, and the challenge of the game will be drastically increased. However, in localizing the game outside Japan, Nintendo of America refused to publish the game because of extreme difficulty, and would make their own version of Mario 2, which we'll get more into next time. So this game released only in Japan for the Famicom Disk System on June 3rd, 1986. It wouldn't be until 1993, with Super Mario All-Stars, people around the world could finally experience Japan's Mario 2. And the 8-bit version wouldn't be released until 1998 Super Mario Bros. Deluxe on the GBC. Was it worth the wait? Fucking no! This game has the most obnoxious difficulty spike I've ever seen in a sequel. It holds nothing back from the very moment you hit start. There is no easing into this one, I'm afraid. It expects you to have mastered mechanics of Mario 1 and is merciless with the punishment it gives out. I first played Lost Levels via the aforementioned port of Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, and that is probably the worst way to play due to the screen crunch. This is the Famicom version, and this is the Game Boy version. You see my issue here? I remember having a hell of a time just getting halfway in the game, and up till this review, I hadn't actually beaten the game for myself. But that was almost a decade ago now, and while I limped over the finish line for this review, I can tell you it was not a fun experience. Once again, I am playing the 16-bit version, but I gave a slight glance at the 8-bit game to point out some visual differences to Mario 1 and some other minor changes. The story and context of Lost Levels is the exact same as before, but what also sucks is that the music and visuals are the exact same as well, with some minor exceptions on the visuals, like the ground textures for most Overworld levels. And whilst the visuals were nice last time, it makes both games blend in with one another, and means that this one lacks any visual flair that isn't caused by some of its stupid level gimmicks. And the lack of original music is incredibly lazy, and honestly kind of disappointing. Could you not have added in some new tracks for like this game's bonus level or something? Again, like the graphics, it means this game lacks some of its own identity and gets lost in the shuffle. I hardly hear anyone talk about this game outside of reviews and critique. There's likely a good reason for that, and it's probably because the level design was made by fucking crack addicts. No joke, this is some of the worst level design I've seen in a 2D platformer. The objective of each stage is the same as before: get to the end without dying, boss fight Bowser at the end of each world, rescue the princess. But some of the obstacles in this game really test your patience with how long you can play before putting the controller down. You have levels with really awkward jumps, followed by trains of enemies, outright guesswork and hidden blocks to create a path. I wouldn't even mind that part that much, so I can kind of tell of the hidden blocks, but no, they're just invisible until you find them. This really sucks when you just find the hidden blocks, and because you can't scroll the screen left, you can't jump up to them, forcing me to die before trying again. Sometimes you have outright leaps of faith with no indication of what is above or below you, so good luck on the Game Boy version. Not to mention the game is showered in enemies. Most levels tend to have a combination of all the various tropes and gimmicks I just mentioned, but nothing can compare to the absolute bullshit you'll find in the wind and spring levels. In some levels, like World 7-3, you'll have wind push you around the stage, which adds a fuck ton of momentum to Mario's wonky pacing, but it's often paired with levels that require you to bounce on springs that with good timing launch Mario off screen, so you can't see yourself or where you will land. However, if you miss the timing, which is very easy to do might I add, Mario will barely jump at all, whilst not leading him into a pit. Not to mention, the wind can turn off at a moment's notice, which can leave you unprepared for what's going up. Or, the wind changes direction mid-flight. Can it also this game has some weird popping issues? Like here, it looks like there should be a fire bar there, but I guess not. But when I die and come back, oh hey, now it spawns in. And then there's this stage, where I guess the enemies also know this game is bullshit and just pieced out. And oh my god, what the fuck happened here? The enemies themselves haven't changed much and behave exactly like they did in Mario 1, with some slight changes. Namely, handlers now march towards you, which takes the objective you was aiming last game and makes them objectively worse. Enemy placement as well has some of the diarrhea dial, and now there are strings of enemies you need to bounce on in order to reach the correct path forward. Like in this level, we have to jump on 2 cubers in order to reach this pipe over a pit. Or here in World 8-2, where this cube sits below a block with a vine leading to the far part of the level. Because of the terrible design of the stages, the only way I can reliably get through them is by having an overly cautious approach and tiptoe my way across the level, which is something I can't even do reliably because of the jumps that require me to gather speed. This game's idea of keeping things fresh is putting shit where it really shouldn't be, and seeing what sticks. You have bloopers floating in the sky, goalposts underwater, Bowser bosses outside of castle stages. World 8 levels in Mario 1 are about as hard as World 1 stages here. You could try and find a warp speed to make the game easier, but unlike in Mario 1 where you can jump to the far world without lunch break, the only warp zones here send you back to early levels. What kind of shit is that? As reward for exploring and finding hidden levels, I have to play through the game again? All the power-ups back from the previous game, with the addition of the new poison mushroom, that is more of a D power-up, as it acts just like hitting an enemy or an obstacle. Even still, you will barely hold on to a super mushroom long enough to dream of a fire flower. Hell, I don't think I had one during my entire playthrough. In Mario 1, you had the option for a 2-player mode, which involved you switching off to a friend who took control of Luigi, trying to beat the previous player's high score. Here, you don't have 2-player. You have a Mario game and a Luigi game. Mario plays and controls the exact same as before, being comfortable, but a bit too slippery for my liking. Now, with the addition of Luigi as a separate character, rather than a Mario recolor, he has a signature higher jump and terrible traction. In most other Mario platforms, I prefer to play as Luigi, but here, he runs like he has ice on his feet. If you want to make the game even more a pain in the ass, you pick Luigi. In addition to giving Luigi his toolset, Lost Levels is also the first game to introduce secret worlds. Upon defeating Bowser in World 84, rescuing the princess, the player can take into one of 5 secret worlds, with their own requirements to get there. World 9 is the first secret world, and is accessed when you beat the game without using warp zones. Like I'm gonna use them anyway, but in the Famicom version, worlds A through D require you to beat the game 8 fucking times to access them. Beating this game once is already an endurance test. You may do it 7 more times? World 9 surprisingly isn't too hard at all. In fact, it is probably the easiest part of the game. World 9 4 spells out arigato, or thank you in Japanese, to the player, which is the only part of the game I found somewhat endearing. But worlds A through D are impassable. Mainly, it's full of even stupider combinations of early level traits, or straight up harder versions of early levels. Like, World C3 is a harder version of World 7-3. I didn't bother to complete these for this review. The main game more than suffices for kicking the dick, and there's no word for beating them either. Overall, Lost Levels is easily the hardest Mario game from beginning to end, and on paper, nothing wrong with that. In fact, I'm all for a good challenge, so long as the game is fair and has some sort of payoff for the challenge I've overcome, or great deal of satisfaction for mastery of the mechanics. This game doesn't have that. It's full of trial and error bullshit that becomes monotonous when a couple levels in. It honestly feels like a romp at times. With its lack of fresh ideas, terrible level design, poor enemy placement, no new music to speak of, and the same visuals as before, there isn't much positive to sink teeth into with this one. Mario 1 is easily the better game, and they should jump straight to the US version of Mario 2. I would not recommend playing this game at all unless you're a huge Mario fan or are incredibly curious. Well, that's finally over. I'm glad to say that the games only improve from this point forward. Next time, it'll be the alternate sequel to Mario 1, Super Mario Bros. 2, and once again, I'm tackling the Mario All-Stars version. This, I know, is a much better game, another that has mystery with, dating back to 2009. Hopefully, I'll catch you next time for a chapter in the Plumber's Journey. Thank you very much for watching, and good night.